Welcome to another episode of Level 1 Restoration Behind the Scenes. We're here today with Jeff Kelly. We're going to take a look at the Sierra Yellow 1970 Judge. This has been a really fun project for us. It has a wonderful family connection, and some cars are really cool because of how they look or how they run, and this one's no exception with that. But what's really cool about this car are the people that owned it, the story of how it came to be into this family, and we're going to tell you all about that on this episode of what makes this car cool. All right, before we get into the present time with this car and its restoration and how this came to be, we're going to take a look back. And it started with a young Gene Dick of Alberta, Canada. And he ordered a series of cars before he got to this car, and Jeff knows the customer and his dad as well as I do. They're wonderful people. And what were some of those cars that Gene bought?
The co-op must have treated him well, because he had a 67 Skylark, which I believe was a convertible, a 67 Parisian 396 hardtop, which he wrapped around a pole, 68 Beaumont SD 396, a 69 GTO convertible, then this, and this turned into a 72 GMC truck.
What's really neat about this is because he kept this car for a couple of years, it turns out that Marty, our customer, he came home from the hospital in this car as a baby. So they, how neat is that? And because of that, and Marty is a sentimental type of a guy, he really wanted to find this car for those purposes. And they tracked this car down in 2004. So let's talk about this car in particular. So it has some strange options, and Jeff always wanted to ask a lot of questions. Ask Gene, how did this car come to be? And it's a 3-speed manual transmission. What did he have to say?
Originally, he wanted an automatic, but he didn't want to call them automatic, so he's going to have to pay for a console. And he didn't want to pay for a console or an automatic, so he went with the standard 3-speed. He was trying to be cheap. So that's why he loaded it up with power windows, defogger, fiber optics, hood tack, in-dash clock, rally gauges, power windows, did I say that?
It's power steering and disc brake would have been an option as well.
And a Judge.
And a Judge.
So obviously he got off cheap.
So, he saved, $100 on the transmission, but spent hundreds more on other cool options. And then, kind of an unusual color combination, Sierra Yellow, dark brown interior, sandalwood top. What did he have to say about that?
He sat down with the dealer, and the dealer was really accommodating with Gene. And he gave him all the books, let him go through it, and Gene decided he wanted a car that nobody else was going to have, a car that stood out and was completely different than all the others. I think he accomplished that.
I think so too. This is a fantastic car. It's been quite a number of years since I first heard from Marty. He searched out someone to restore a GTO. That brought him to us, and he really wanted to take this car and get a Concourse Gold Award, and we've accomplished that. I told him if he really wanted to enjoy the car, he should just skip the judging. We'd make it really nice, but
go enjoy it.
Right, we have managed to have a lot of fun with it, but Marty accumulated just a huge trove of parts. Some of these parts were duplicates and extras. What did you recall from that?
So much new old stock stuff he acquired for this for a beautiful restoration. He had 2 sets of tail lights, NOS. He had 2 sets of front park lights. One set, which was 69 dated, we used on the Humbler. Thanks, Marty.
Right. We paid for them, of course.
We paid for them, but yeah, that he had them, we didn't have to find them. The vinyl top material is new old stock. The seat upholstery is new old stock. The door panels are completely original to the car.
Yeah. That's amazing.
New old stock sheet metal everywhere. Wheel well moldings, grill moldings, park light bezels, valences. It never ended what he had bought for this car.
He spared no expense in making this car one of the nicest 70 Judges that a person can find anywhere.
Yeah.
It's really an amazing car.
His work alone is worth volumes.
So much of a restoration and how it turns out does have to do sometimes with the customer and their drive for it.
Yep.
Now, we got customers that are 100% turnkey, and knowing that going in, it's great. We don't really have to talk with them or interact on little details, but it's fun to have a guy that has this kind of passion for one.
He loves this car.
Yeah.
He loves this car.
And when he gets it home here, which will be here in a couple of days, he will have, his whole family will gather around this, and it'll, live at his home with him. And it's going to be a wonderful thing for him and his whole entire family. We're really excited about that. Let's take a look at some of the things that makes a 70 Judge cool. Okay, so really a 70 GTO is a great looking car. I don't think too many people would argue that point. But, the 3-color stripe thing is really cool. We forgot a few options. Door edge guards.
Wood wheel.
8-track.
Tilt
Wheel. Really neat. The shifter T-handle, which is a standard part of a Judge, doesn't have the shift pattern on it.
Because it's a 3-speed.
It's a 3-speed car. So, and we put Goodyear pinstripe white walls, which is how this car was built, with the pinstripe white wall, which really I think works with this car.
It works beautifully, and look how it matches the stripes in the Judge lettering and the eyebrows. It really matches the car.
Yeah.
It works well. Not all cars need to be white letter.
No, and I can argue this is maybe better looking on this particular car, but
it is.
All right, so this car was not only owned originally and owned today by a Canadian, has always had Canadian ownership. It was built at the Oshawa, Canada plant. And we've done a lot of 70 GTOs, and we've noticed a handful of things that were different about this car
It has quite a few things. In the back, it doesn't have the snap-on trunk clips for the wiring loom. It has 69 style welded-on tabs in the corners. What was the other trunk thing? Oh, in the back, the vinyl top, the seam doesn't match the top of the roof, so the seams are offset. We had that made out of the new old stock vinyl. The fan shroud hardware that holds it down, the bolts on top, are much larger washers than a standard American production car, and there were no witness marks underneath it for it to ever had another bolt in that place.
Yeah, which means we could tell that those washers had been there
It's
always.
Yep,
Yeah.
that bolt was there.
The springs we found black paint on the springs.
On the springs,
Yep.
the center link and the idler arm were dipped in black. They're Saginaw parts dipped in black, not like an American car at all.
So just a few oddball differences that we noticed on a Canadian built car. Like Jeff already mentioned, a lot of new old stock parts. This part of Canada is a dry
It was a
area.
nice car.
Yeah, so very dry. Floorboards are mint original parts.
Yep, trunk floor.
Yeah, a lot of and a few bruises and bangs and stuff like that. So we might have replaced a door, fender, or something like that along the way. But original hood. I think we've noticed a varying hood tack location.
Yes, this car also proves it has a different hood tack location than other hoods.
So, just a few fun little things about where different cars were made. And this one's being the most unusual in that it's from Canada, and it found its way all the way down to Colorado, which really is only 800 and some miles.
It's not bad, no.
Straight south from where they live. Very similar climate and stuff like that. So wonderful car, wonderful people.
Great people.
Absolutely.
Love them. They're so nice.
And we just want to thank you for joining us on another episode of What Makes This Car Cool. Please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you later.
Thanks again.